Hi class, today we're learning about the drop factor formula. Like I was telling you last week, when it comes to infusion rates and drop factor is definitely an easier formula. Students seem to love it. I guess flow rate is a little bit more difficult, but you don't have to worry about either of them when you are actually working as a pharmacy technician because you won't be using either of them in the scope of your practice as a pharm tech. This type of stuff is on the PTCB. Your guess is just as good as mine as to why we need to know this kind of stuff, because this is what nurses do. This is actually nursing math, and they would be the ones that are setting up these infusion rates and the drop factors and all that kind of stuff. We would never have to do it, but it is, I guess it's good for us to know, but you just don't do this in your actual scope of practice. At least not in New York, you don't. And I have friends in other places that have never told me they had to do this either, so if you somehow find out that it is used, that'll be great, but I've never met anybody that had to use it. Okay, anyway, without further ado, let's first look at what the usage is. What is the usage as a pharmacy technician? The answer is absolutely none. This is used for PTCB exam questions only. So I'm only teaching you this for the purposes of PTCB exam, not for the purposes of what you'll be doing in the actual real world. An important thing to know about the drop factor is that you always round no matter what the number is. Meaning, let's say you get 12.1 and then or the answer was 12.9. It doesn't matter if it's 12.1 or 12.9, you're always rounding up to 13. That whole 5 or higher or 4 or lower thing doesn't count with drop factor. You always have to round up, always. Anyway, the formula for the drop factor is V divided by T times C equals R. V stands for volume, T stands for time, C is the drop factor, and R is the drop rate, which is your final answer. The great thing about the drop factor is that all of these things are given to you within the problem, so you're not left guessing anything. You're simply taking the information and plugging it into the formula. So what you really need to know is how to locate volume, how to locate time, and drop factor. That's really what you need to know how to do. Because all the numbers are pulled from the equation to be plugged into the formula. So time must also be converted into minutes. You have to remember that one. They're going to give you hours, and you need to multiply the hours times 60 in order to convert it into minutes. So let's look at this example. The first example that we're going to look at says the order is 1,600 mLs of dextrose 5% water every 4 hours, and the drop factor is 10 GTT per ml tubing. That's how the drop factor comes. So now we're just plugging in our numbers. Our volume is 1,600. Based on this, volume is the unit of measurement for fluid, okay? So looking at your formula, you're gonna say, okay, which one of this is volume? Volume is your mLs. So 1,600 goes here. Your time is 240 minutes. How did I get 240 minutes? It says 4 hours, so we're multiplying 4 by 60. Whatever time it says, if it says Q12H or if it says, 7 hours, or if it doesn't even have the Q blank H and it just tells you the hours, you're multiplying whatever that number is by 60 to give you your amount in minutes, and that's what you'll put here. So again, this 4 has been multiplied by 60 to convert it to minutes. There's 240 minutes in a 4-hour period. So 240, and then you're multiplying it by 10. They told you that 10 is 10 GT per ml, and that is what a drop factor is looking like. So you're going to plug in 10. So 1,600 divided by 240 times 10. Remember, put it directly into the calculator. Do not hit enter. Don't hit 1,600 divided by 240, enter. You do 1,600 divided by 240 times 10. It gives you 66.6. So you're going to round up to 67 drops per minute. You always round. Again, if this says 66.1, it doesn't matter. It's going to round up to 67. You always round with drop factor, no matter what the number is. Let's try another example, but again, this is pretty straightforward and pretty simple.